hope is it working?
Yeah.
Thank you. Today I am going to talk about glacial responses to changing climatic conditions in Nanda Devi region, which is in the Uttarakhand Himalaya. And we have a few friends from there, India. My name is Suraj Mal, and with Dr. R.B. Singh, today I am going to talk about this topic. See, few things have been told by the previous speaker, Professor Jayanta, that the climate is not properly understood, the climatic data in the Indian Himalaya, especially on the southern aspect, southern sites, is not of that good quality. The resolution is not that good. So initially I decided to talk about the relationship between the climatic change and the glacial responses, but then we had the discussion with the Professor Haitala that I should also include some of the human aspects. So I have excluded the climate change part. I am talking only about the glacial changes today and the responses to the glacial lake outburst flood that took place also in the Kedarnath tragedy last year. And then I will also talk about in brief that what happened last year in the Kedarnath tragedy to the human population there. So this is the climate change framework for me. We know that the climate has been changing. It has always changed. It is a part of the evolution. But we know that because of the human disturbances, the process of climate change has accelerated. So you can see that this is the former position of the glacier. This is the upper surface, which has now come to this particular place. That means the glacier has changed. It has reduced in the area extent, and it has also reduced in the vertical extent. So there has been a change in the depth also. What happens when the glacier retreats? It leaves some of the debris, some of the sediment in front of the glacier that can sometimes block the river, and that can form the small glacier lake. We call it supraglacial lake, and sometimes there are debris flow in the lake, sometimes there are avalanches in the glacial lakes, sometimes this moraine, the debris, the sediment can damage, can breach out, and then this water from the lake can go downstream, and it can cause problems to the people living there in the villages. So this is another conceptual framework. What happens when there is the changing in the temperature conditions? When there is rise in the temperature conditions, there are two ways in which the mountains will respond. There is always the vertical shift of the ecosystem, and there is the horizontal shift of the ecosystem. Vertical in the mountains, particularly, we have the horizontal shift, the vertical shift of the ecosystems. These are different ecological zones. We have in the upper sides glaciers, then we have the alpine plants, then shrubs and the forest. What happens when the temperature rises? The glaciers will disappear, and this particular emptied space will be colonized by the alpine plants, and the area which was earlier with the alpine plants will now be shrubs, so on. These are the changes, and when the climatic cooling takes place, the glaciers will re-establish their own place, and the alpine plants will come down. So there is always a cause and effect relationship. So this is the world distribution of surface area of the small glaciers. Small glaciers, I'm not talking about the ice sheets, I'm just talking about the valley glaciers, I'm talking about the ice caps and so on. You can see that this is the Central Asia, and this is particularly the Hindu Kush Himalayan region, and this is having the second largest concentration of the glaciers. This is very important because it feeds the China population, the India population, Bangladesh, Pakistan. I think it is more than 50% of the population that is served by the Himalayan glaciers. So the Himalayan glaciers are of the utmost concern. These are very much important. So we need to study them. So this has happened after the 1960s to the glaciers. You can see that this is the total negative change, minus 283 kilogram cubic meter per year. This is the change of the glaciers. It has accelerated. If you see that during 1960s to 1990, minus 219 was the change, but it accelerated to minus 420 during 1990s to 2004. So what I am trying to say that the glacier retreat has increased. This is the current status of the glaciers, their area and the ice volume in the Indian Himalaya. You can see that there are nearly 15,000 glaciers that cover nearly 33,000 square kilometer area, and the ice volume is about 4,278 cubic kilometer. And the India is having second largest number of glaciers concentration, around 4,278, and the area in the Indian Himalayan glaciers are around 8,797 square kilometer. Pakistan is having the largest concentration in terms of the area and in terms of the number of glaciers. So this is the map of the Indian Himalayan glaciers and also the Karakoram glaciers. That shows that most of the glaciers are retreating at an alarming pace. That this blue circle represents the rate of change. You can see in the Karakoram region, the circle is little smaller than the central Himalayan and the western Himalayan regions, glaciers. That means the glacier retreat is not very fast in the Karakoram Himalaya, but in the western Himalaya and the central Himalayan regions. And I did some survey of all the glaciers studies that have been published recently from 1980s to till date, and I came to this particular table that shows that the changes in the glacier is not uniform around the Indian Himalayas. Some parts are having the higher glacial retreat, some parts are having the lower glacial retreat. You can see that Siachen during the 1995 to 2008 showed less than 1 meter per year glacial retreat. So the glacial retreat is very, very low. On the other side, we have the Milan Glacier, which is retreating at the rate of nearly 37 meters per year, which is very, very high. And then you have the Gangotri around 23, 27, and then again the Bada Shikri Glacier in the Himachal Pradesh around 36. So the rate of the retreat changes with the latitude, with the region. So this is the net mass balance. This is basically the changes in the ice volume. What I believe that retreat of the glacier is not properly shown by the retreat in terms of the snout. It has to be the total ice change, because sometimes the snout of the glacier is the indication of the adjustment of the topography of the glacier. So it has to be the total ice change, not just the snout change. You can see that there are some glaciers, the red color, the statistic shows the positive side. That means the glacier not retreated in these particular years, but it advanced in those particular years. You can see this Gara glacier advanced 3 times, this Gardaran glaciers advanced twice, Shongaran twice, and the Dokrani glacier, it always retreated. So this is the location map of the study area of the Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve. It is located in the Uttarakhand Himalaya, and it spreads over 3 districts: this Chamoli, Pithoragarh, and Bageshwar. It has 2 World Heritage Sites: Valley of Flowers National Park, Nanda Devi National Park, and it is bordered by the China, Tibet on the northern side, and the Garhwal Himalaya on the southwest side, and the Kumaon Himalaya on the eastern side. This is the elevation map of the Nanda Devi Biosphere Reserve. You see that the highest elevation is around 8,000 meters. This is the peak of the Nanda Devi, main peak, 7817, and the lowest elevation is around 1400 meters above mean sea level. These are the different altitudinal zones. You can see that most of the area of the glacier, of the study area, is located above 3000 meters above mean sea level. You can see that between 3000 to 4000 meters, the area is around 18%, between 4000 to 5000 meters, area is around 37%, and between 5,000 to 6,000 around 33%. So most of the area is located above 3,000 meters sea level, and which is a very high altitude. This is the methodology for the glacier study. We basically we collected two types of data, primary data and secondary data. Secondary data was mainly the topographical sheets of the Survey of India and the corona images, which are basically the aerial photographs from the US spy satellite, and the ASTER images and the Landsat images. And we also did some field investigations. Whatever we see on the map, we wanted to clarify, we wanted to verify them on the field. What we basically did, we compared the earlier maps with the recent satellite images in order to see the changes in the glaciers. And these are the field photographs from the study area. This is the full survey team in 2009. This is on the Bankund Glacier, which is very close to the Gamshari. You must be knowing, I believe. Okay. I have been doing this survey since 2006 on different glaciers. So, and I have done 3 phases of the study. So this is the result of the first phase of the study. We selected 3 glaciers, one in the Valley of Flowers National Park. There is a glacier called Tipra Glacier. There is the Donagiri Glacier, which is located north of the Nanda Devi, and the other is the Milan Glacier, which is located east of the Nanda Devi region. So what we found after comparing the satellite images and the topographical maps is this table. We see that from 1962 to 2010, the glacier has retreated around 0.54 square kilometer in the area. The length also changed. On the right side of this snout, there was an absolute change of around 288 meters. In the center, it was 404 meters, and on the left side, it was 600 meters above. The mean width also changed, and the altitude of the snout also changed. The altitude shifted around 60 meters in total. Same way, we see the Donagiri Glacier has also retreated, but the retreat of the Donagiri Glacier was much more less than the Tipra Glacier and the Milan Glacier. I'll show you the pictures to come. So these are the maps that show the comparison of the earlier extent and the recent extent. The green part is the earlier extent belonging to 1960s, and the recent part is this is the pink color. These are the 3 snout positions. How do they differ in terms of appearance and geometry? You see that Tipra Glacier retreated around 12.5 meters per annum during 1962 to 2010. The snout of Donagiri Glacier retreated around 1.3 meters per annum during 1962 to 2008, and the snout of Milan Glacier retreated around 29 meters per annum during 1962 to 2009. So there was a difference in the retreat rate. We believed that the altitude of the snout has something to do with this retreat rate. We concluded that the higher is the position of the snout, lower will be the retreat. For example, in case of the Donagiri Glacier, the retreat rate is just 1.3 meters per year, but the location or the elevation of the snout is above 4,000 meters. On the other side, we have the maximum retreat reported by the Milan Glacier, that is 29 meters per year, and it has the lowest elevation, that is the 622 meters. So elevation of the snout has something to do with the retreat rate. This is the Google Earth image of the Tipra Glacier, and I would like to show you some of the photographs that will also talk about the retreat, which are not actually reported by the satellite image analysis, which can only be reported through the fieldwork analysis. So this is the accumulation zone. This is the upper part of the glacier. You see there is a sudden change in the slope. That means there are not too many changes taking place in the upper side, but in the lower side. So this sudden change in the elevation is the representation of the accelerated glacial retreat in the downslope regions, which are not represented by the satellite image analysis. Then you see this is the area further downstream. And then again in the lower side of the glaciers, there are again sudden changes in the slope. These areas are experiencing accelerated melting. These are the lateral moraines, the debris which is released during the process of the glacial retreat. These also indicate the glacial retreat. You see, these are the cracks, crevasses. We are not in the position to see these cracks, these crevasses, or this type of melting during the analysis of the satellite images. We can only see them in the field, in the real field. You see, our experience suggested in this particular area that this is the empty room kind of a thing over there. There is only roof, glacier roof, the ice roof, but beneath the ice roof there is empty space. So the Tripura glacier is experiencing accelerated melting. This is the indication. This is again the lower elevation zone, heavy debris cover, and this is the debris covered snout position. So the analysis of this particular glacier suggested that it has more melting than we could actually see from the satellite image analysis. Then after the analysis of the first phase of the glaciers, then we moved to the second phase, and then we changed our methodology. We also replaced basically the satellite, the topographical sheets with these aerial photographs, because there was a lot of controversy over the Gangotri glacier, as also mentioned by previous speaker, that it was said that the Gangotri glacier will disappear by 2035. So keeping in mind that particular controversy and the studies on the Gangotri glacier, we repeated the new method which was undertaken on the Gangotri glacier. See, this is the retreat rate of the Gangotri glacier based on the earlier studies that compared the satellite images and the aerial topographical sheets and the topographical sheets. That talked that during 1962 to 2000, the Gangotri glacier retreated at the rate of 40 meters per year, which was very much high as compared to the other glaciers. But there was a study that compared the earlier aerial photographs and the recent topographical sheet. This suggested that the retreat between 1965 to 2006 is only around 20 meters per year. It is not 40 meters per year. And they changed the methodology. They replaced the topographical sheet. Then they tried to analyze what were the major reasons for this particular higher estimated retreat. Then they concluded that it was basically the error in the topographical sheet. The snout position, which is pertaining to 1962 in the topographical sheet, it actually belonged to 1930s. It was not belonging to 1962. So there was a misestimation within the topographical sheet, but it was not the problem of anybody, as has been said. This is my perception. So we particularly followed this methodology that has been adopted by Bhambre et al. At the Wadia Institute of Himalayan Geology. Okay, then we also tried to improve the new methods also. Most of the time when we talk about the glacier changes, we talk just about the active position changes. We say, okay, the active snout position was somewhere here in 1960s, it is now here in 1990s and 2000 and so on. But we tried to know the changes of all the glacial snout margins, not just at the active snout positions. Because if we wanted to see the changes of the just active snout position, it is just here. But the glacial extent is not just this. The glacial extent is somewhere here also. So we wanted to see the change of each and every single point. So we draw these lines and then we averaged the recession rate. So this is the result of the new method. You see, as per the new method, the retreat of the Milan Glacier during 1962 to 2013 was around 37 meters per year. But as per the old method, it was around 36 meters. Now you can see that there is a difference, and there is a difference because using the new method, the retreat is much more than the previous method, because there is much more glacier ice that has been retreated in this particular area. We also wanted to compare the earlier positions and the current positions. So we identified 3 common points in the 1968 topographical sheets and the aerial photographs and the current Landsat 8 images. So these are the 3 common points: this particular point and this particular point, and this erosion point and this erosion point. And in 1968, this was the active snout position and this was the dead snout position. So if we transfer this snout position to current position, it should come somewhere here. And in this particular Landsat 8 image in 2013, the active snout position is somewhere here. So there has been so much of retreat, around 1.6 kilometers during the period of 1968 and 2013. As I mentioned in the second slide, in the conceptual framework, when the glacial retreat, it can sometimes form the glacial lakes. So now we have 2 glacial lakes in this particular area. These 2 circles show the positions of the glacial lakes. These are the 2 glacial lakes that came only after 1968. Before that, they were not there. Okay, these are some other indicators of the glacial retreat. We just visually compared them. You see, this is the tributary glacier in 1968, and now there is no glacier. There is a stream now. So in this particular place, the glacier thinning has taken place, and which has given the way to the emergence of the river. This is another tributary. This is the right lateral tributary. You see the width over here is around 250 meters in 1968, but now it has retreated to around 150 meters. So there is a reduction in 100 meters width during the said period. It indicates the thinning. And then in the third phase of our study of the glacier changes, we transferred the methodology of the second phase to the third phase, keeping in sample about 30 glaciers in mind. So we see that, and this is particularly about the Nanda Devi region, we see that the glaciers have retreated, almost every glacier is retreating from 32, 33 meters per year to around 8.3 meters per year, 8.4 meters per year, and there are some glaciers which are retreating at a very, very low rate, 5.6 meters. We are still investigating the spatial reasons for this particular variation. We have discussed so far the elevation of the snout, length, and so on, and the aspect also. Okay, this is the relationship between the area and the retreat, and the relationship between snout and retreat rate, and the length of the glacier and the retreat rate. All together, if we try to understand the influence of the area of the glacier, snout elevation, and the length of the glacier, it is just about 14% of the glacial rate is explained. But we do not know the real causes, what are the causes that are leading to the retreat of the glaciers. Is it the climatic change, or some physiographic changes are also there? It is because of the changes in the temperature, or is it because of the changes in the snowfall? We don't know it yet. So this is about the glacial lakes. Same way we compared the earlier satellite images with the recent satellite images in order to know the changes. These are the details of the satellite images. This is the distribution of the satellite images, the glacial lakes. Okay, so altogether we identified around 35 glacial lakes in the study area, and of them nearly 5 were the Sark glacial lakes, 3 were the end moraine damped lake, 4 were the lateral damped moraine lake, 17 were on the fore side of the glacial lake, supraglacial sites, and 6 were the other types. And this is the distribution of the lakes by the elevation. 3 lakes are located more than 5,000 meters above mean sea level, 11 between 4,500 to 5,000 meters, and 14 between 4,000 meters to 4,500 meters, and 7 below the 4,000 meters. So these are the examples of the glacial lakes that we could identify. This is the example of the the subglacial lake. This is the example of the right lateral moraine damped lake, and these are the forefront glacial lakes. Okay, then we compared the major glacial lakes during 1976 to 2010. We could conclude that most of the glacial lakes have increased in the size. You see this particular lake, Karpusandi, which is very close to the Valley of Flowers National Park, it increased by around 6,573 square meters. And the Sifkane Glacier Lake, which is very close to the Indo-China border, it increased by nearly 30,000 square meters. And the glacial lakes near the Kamet Glacier, it increased by around 80,000 square meters, and so on. So when this is the example of the Kamet Glacier. Okay, it has increased. You can see this is the earlier extent 1976, and this is the recent one 2010. This is the Karpusandi Lake. Okay, what happens when sometimes glacial retreats? There are glacial lakes developing, and sometimes these glacial lakes can breach out. So this can be a major problem. But we see last year in the Kedarnath tragedy. This is the 3D model of the Valley of Flowers region. This is the Valley of Flowers region, and this is the Hemkund Sahib, and this is the Hemkund Lake. And there is another lake, Karpusandi Lake, and this is Hathi Tal, and there are 3-4 settlements. The problem is when we do not know when these lakes will breach out. When these breach out, there are always large-scale devastations. And it happened last year. Because of the excessive rainfall, one of the glacial lakes breach out, which was the Hathi Tal over here, this one, and it could damage the entire villages downstream. This is the village called Pugla, which is the entry to the Valley of Flowers, and this is the earlier photo pre-rainfall, and this is the after rainfall, and each and every single house could damage. So no house could survive. Then this is another example from the Gangpati Glacier. This is in the Gauri Ganga Valley. You see there is a village. And it was a debris flow in 1999. In one night only, this debris flow went again, and it could damage each and every single house. You can see these are the common points. So the village was somewhere here, and now it is not there. So each and every single house got damaged, and this happened in the Kedarnath last year. This is a pre-tragedy scenario, and this is the post-tragedy picture. These are again some examples from the Himachal Pradesh, because when this tragedy was taking place, I was doing my fieldwork in the Himachal Pradesh. So we also got stuck for around 10 days, but hopefully it was not that bad in that particular part. So this is the conclusion. The retreat rate varies spatially, caused by different factors including slope, aspect, elevation range, snout positions, elevation, and debris cover. The dilemma is that we don't know. Is it the rising temperature that is causing problem or causing retreat to the glaciers, or it is the decreasing snowfall? We don't know it yet, because the analysis of the snowfall in the Indian Himalayan side is very, very poor. And there is no straightforward relationship between temperature rise and the glacial retreat, because the kind of temperature change we are experiencing today, these will represent in the glacial retreat or advancement after 20 or 30 years. So there is always a time lag involved. We don't know it yet, what is the straightforward relationship. And increasing glow occurrences are also taking place. Before 90s, we did not have too many glow occurrences. Glow means glacial lake outburst floods, but now we are having too many glow occurrences. And this has led to the decreased resilience of the human society to the rapid changes. Thank you very much.